At the end of 2019, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Things were looking pretty grim. He's a longtime student of the Urantia book, and he had on his mind what he would like to leave people with. So he sent out a series of emails with some of his thoughts on prayer. My dad is now recovered, and he sat down to talk with me about those emails. So in this series, you're not going to hear us talk about the Urantia book so much as how its lessons have melded into our lives and shaped our attitudes toward prayer and the process of death and dying. Here's one of those emails and the conversation that we had about it.
No discipline. I have habits in prayer, but no discipline, no structure. I have no set form. I have nothing memorized. I have no beads.
Beads have a long history in many religions as a prayer aid. They can bring a person back on focus, prevent them from praying too long or too short. But I don't use them.
Yes, I do have habits. I have always prayed in the morning, usually with coffee. I like to sit in favorite spots.
Something with a view, a big picture window, or the porch. Perhaps outside.
I resist putting on my glasses. If I put them on, I'll probably start reading the news.
My mind wanders a lot.
Probably because I have no structure. So I have to bring it back to expressions of my concerns and openness to whatever is coming my way. I have cultivated a sequence that helps. I didn't invent the sequence. Many religions use it.
It progresses generally through thankfulness, asking, openness, and practicing.
I usually keep my eyes open. If I close them, I tend to fall back asleep, especially when on my first cup.
There's a list in the Urantia book. It's called something like Conditions for Effective Prayer. And I'm wondering if you've ever utilized that.
I've used it. I've tried to memorize it bunches of times. I know right where it is. It's on the left-hand side of the page. It's in the bottom half. I've looked at it. I've gone through it, over and over and over, and I just have never really succeeded at memorizing it.
I wonder if it's something that's become just more ingrained within you rather than being like a checklist that you work down. It's become like habits.
I'm sure it's become ingrained, but I can't tell you specifically that it has, because when something is ingrained, when something has become part of me, I can't just pick it out and identify this is it, because it's part of me. It's who I am now, and I'm sure of that, and I'm confident of that, and I'm thankful for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way where I don't use the checklist so much. I do think that parts of it are ingrained, but then it's nice too to go back to that list sometimes and see one thing that maybe I haven't been doing as much, and then have that reminder that it's easier to kind of focus on one thing to improve rather than feel like I have to hit every line item in every prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Which isn't what Jesus would do. Jesus would just go and have conversations with his Father. And that is just a much more sustainable way to do it.
It is. And I think that's a goal that we would want to work toward. Let's keep in mind that Jesus was a very higher order being than we are. And we are still learning how to communicate. And I think that conversation idea is great, but sometimes I think also discipline has its place in terms of training and remembering. And
like if you're practicing piano, you don't just play a masterpiece right away. You practice scales and chord transitions and two measures over and over and over.
Right. And then it can become automatic, and then you can actually have a conversation with the instrument. Mm-hmm. And you wonder how that person got there. They got there through discipline.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you how I have conversations with God?
Yeah.
So I guess I kind of have a spot that I've had for a couple of years now. When Leo first started going to school, I would send him out the door, and then I'd just stand in the doorway and say good morning to the birds. And so that's still something that I do. Even when they started schooling at home, I would still say, I'm sending Leo off to school, and I'm going to say good morning to the birds. And I would just step outside and have a few minutes in the cold winter months and in the hot summer months.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, so when I brush my teeth, the last thing I do is I gargle, and I notice that when I gargle, I wiggle my toes, and my toes are going.
If one of you could end it with one of those little end things which have nothing to do with the segment, like that